I can continue to give you information so that you can draw your own deductions. I think it's the role that any popularizer has to be able to do. It turns out that the Egyptians had a unit of measurement called the iteru. Iteru is 10,472 meters. Hey, if we measure the distance to the sun, with kilometers, which is 1,000 meters, what the hell did you need a unit of measurement 10.5 times bigger than the iteru for? To measure what? The distance to Sirius can be established as the height of the Great Pyramid multiplied 5 times by 888.92, a figure that contains both 888 and 892.
We are back again here in Rediscovering Our Origins. Chapter 7, we are already 7, that is said fast, but we are enjoying a lot, so why stop? We are going to continue. Of course, we are going to continue with the book that follows the investigation of our favorite doctor in architecture to me. From our favorite doctor in architecture, Miquel Perez Sanchez, Plan Miquel, who is here with me.
How are you doing?
Oh, I see you well. I see you focused for today, because we always know, because we have a chapter today, this chapter 7, You are going to have fun, and above all, you are going to be surprised, as I always say it. I know it is a bit heavy, but it is what we are following correlatively the book, which is the one that shapes the book. In this investigation, this book of his doctorate was transferred, and you can buy the book. You can follow the book from the beginning to the end, turn it around, and you can acquire it. Here in the description box of the video you can find the link to purchase the book, and in it then you can find all the scientific explanations that he has found in relation to the Great Pyramid to his research. Because I say it because here what we do is to summarize the important aspects. Then here you can find the most developed aspects at the scientific level, and therefore it is important that you can access them. And as I said, you have it in the comments box, in the description box of the video. Miquel chapter 7 said, the mystery of the horizon of Sirius. Here appears Sirius, which is one of the important elements of the Egyptian mythology, of the good of the whole Egyptian credo. And you are going to tell me today, you are going to tell me why and what relation it has with the Great Pyramid. And how?
Well, the Great Pyramid is multiple. Why the importance of Sirius? I would say that is still an unsolved mystery, but we'll see in the course of today, because it is intimately related to the name of the Great Pyramid. I had anticipated in the previous video podcast a rather surprising fact, which for me it was to finally understand why the name of the Great Pyramid was the horizon of Cheops. Why that reference to the horizon? Was it gratuitous? As it turns out, it was not. It wasn't. It was not at all. Let's see, why wasn't it? Well, we've seen that one of the main numbers of the Great Pyramid was the number 432, a number known in ancient times as famous, as the ancients explained, and which is also 6 times 6 times 6 times 6 times 6, and which is also 6 times 6 times 6 times 6 times 2, and that also 432,00, that is 43,200. We also saw that they were the seconds of noon. What have we found? We are talking about the time. Well, we have found that if we put an eye on the center of the crowning sphere of the Great Pyramid, and we establish a horizon of vision. See, imagining the Earth to be absolutely flat like the sea, it turns out that the radius of that horizon, what reaches that vision, is exactly 43,200 meters.
The way in which this is defined by the proportions of the coordinating element, not by the sphere itself, i.e. from the center of the sphere.
Inside the sphere, you put the pupil of the eye in the center of the sphere. Then you calculate the viewing distance to the horizon. You know that the Earth is curvilinear. Then, of course, there is a certain moment in which the vision comes to go tangent to the curve, which is the horizon line, because the horizon line visible from an eye located in the center of the sphere of the Great Pyramid would be 43,200 meters. And that distance has a remarkable importance. The diameter is 86,400, which we have already seen that 86,400 are the seconds of a day. Therefore, notice that they are introducing temporal measurements and spatial measurements in a way that really surprises, because the concept of space-time is from Einstein. It is from the 20th century. It is another concept of space-time. Okay, but still they mix spatial measurements with temporal measurements.
Going back to the angle of vision, so we had agreed, and we had seen it in other podcasts, that we had already explained the subject of the coronation of the Great Pyramid, and that at the end you had already come to the conclusion that it was a sphere, conformed by the electro, not by the relation of the... From there, a series of information is generated that the coronation itself gives us in relation first to the angle of vision, but also to other things.
That we have been seeing in previous video podcasts, but what is essential now is to understand what they are saying to us with this horizon of vision. That is, at the moment we have the length of vision, but if that length of vision is the radius of a circle, and we transform that circle and measure it, it turns out that, oh surprise, is 10,000 times the slope of the angle of the Great Pyramid in degrees. The angle of the Great Pyramid, we said, was 432 times 432 seconds of arc. This is 51 as 84 degrees for the perimeter of vision of that horizon. Would be 10,000 times 51 as 84, that is 518,400 cubits.
But it has some meaning, i.e. it conveys some real information.
Information, yes.
Information.
Quite important, which is that it gives us, again, let's say, as a correlation between units of measurement in real cubits and in meters, and this time it does it with square numbers. That is, this perimeter that we have defined is equal to 720 squared real cubits, which in turn coincides with 521 squared meters. And that is to say, an equivalence between units of measurement through square numbers, but it is that in turn 521 squared meters takes the number to a stratospheric dimension, because it turns out to be equal to the number phi, which you remember is the one which was 1,000 times the number phi. It happens to be that number of humanity, 1,618, and the number phi is 1.6180, which is the divine proportion, I repeat, the proportion between the height of your body and the height of your belly button. And the height of your navel, that is, you divide your total height by the height of your navel, by 161.8, and you will have the height of your navel, which is nothing more and nothing less than the channel of life by which you were nourished the first 9 months in your mother's womb. Then notice that it so happens that the perimeter of the horizon of Cheops is phi raised to the 26th power. See, of course, it is one thing for them to know potential numbers, and the other is that we are talking about 26 powers.
If it is surprising because we are already talking about very, 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 very advanced mathematics, yes. But we are also in another concept.
As a concept. But we are also talking about relationships that are also cosmic and religious, because let's remember that the name of Yahweh in Hebrew gematria is 26, but it is both 26 in the nominal value as well as in the ordinal value. And curiously, therefore, we could say that the 2626 is associated with the name Yahweh.
To say to have understood well this vein, the power is associated to the crown of the Great Pyramid. A pyramid to the horizon of the horizon of vision has to do with the horizon, which in the end has to do with the coronation. And the coronation is an element that has to do with an element of divinization, not of
Yes, precisely because it is the all-seeing eye, and that all-seeing eye is what we find in the dollar, i.e. in the dollar bill, on top of the dollar bill. In the dollar bill on top of the pyramid, and you find a sphere inside a triangle, which is therefore a symbol clearly, let's say, picked up by Christianity. The pity is that here we don't have one. I don't know if the camera can see it. We don't have a dollar bill, but notice that the triangle inside has the eye, a very clear symbol of divinity.
Because surely the popular culture around American cinema has made sure that everyone has printed in their memory what a dollar bill looks like for sure. Because look at it, look at it, look at it.
What's more, this correlation between the 26th and the 26th, and that correlation between the 26 of the Egyptian geometry, Hebrew geometry, and look what happens with Greek geometry. You write the phrase 888. You add up the four values that we said it had: the nominal value, the ordinal value, the reduced value, and the reduced integral value, 26, with which is implicitly associating the 888 of the mother civilization, later absorbed by the civilization, by the Egyptian civilization as the Neterua, as God one, with the one God of the Hebrew civilization and religion, the name of Yahweh.
Curious truth is that we are already jumping to different cultures and to different religions.
But it is that it is very likely that that civilization mother had an impact on all the great cultures that emerged from antiquity in one way or another.
Well, what about the dollar bill? Well, of course, I assure you that here, hello, how are you, conspiracy friends? Sure that already the most, or those who see Masonic conspiracies everywhere, have already, let's go to play to pause. Let's record this. We will spread it.
Let's see. What is clear is that conspiracies apart, in which it is difficult to give credibility, at least from the scientific point of view, what nobody doubts is that the founders of the United States were Freemasons, and the symbol is Washington Jefferson, and the symbol on the dollar bill, which is the seal of the United States, is directly associated with the ideas of Freemasonry.
Hey, and the city of Washington is also projected.
Without any doubt. This is what I have collected in my 5th book. Because in my 5th book I explain the geometric and mathematical relationship of the structuring element of the city of Washington, which is the federal triangle.
Talking about the 5th book that we have commented on before in the 6th book, but I am dropping it again because we have received many comments from you saying, where can I buy the 2nd one, where can I buy the 3rd one, where can I buy the 5th one? I am going to buy the 5th one. You cannot buy it yet because they are projects, that is to say the books are already defined, they are finished, although with the 2nd one there is still a lot of fiddling with the book too.
In what sense am I talking about?
That you're just finishing polishing it.
No, it is finished.
I have a few little things, but you have it
finished. Book 2, 3, 4, and 5 were written in the last 9 years. And they have been written simultaneously because they are interrelated. And book 2 can come out immediately. But in 3, in 4, and in 5, as revealed, the position of the mother civilization of ancient Egypt, of the mother city of ancient Egypt, that's going to take a little bit longer. That one is going to take a little bit longer. And it's going to take a little longer because I would like to find it personally.
Okay, but it would take less time. If someone, not that publisher, gets in touch with us again.
No? Well, sure. Let's see. Right now we are still in the phase of closing the reading of books 3, 4, and 5. There is still the last reading, the last review. But yes, book 2 would be ready to come out. And what we are also looking for is funding for the search of the original civilization.
I would also like to take advantage of the fact that we are getting into this, and I would also like to tell you that we thank you very much for the attention you have given us. We thank you very much for the attention that this has generated. We are very happy with all that we have received from you. Comments, likes, views, we are very happy, and well, we are very grateful, and thank you very much, and well, we will continue.
Well, the Kyobo skyline is an absolutely exceptional thing, and more than you will see. For example, in the same way that I have explained to you that 720 squared real cubits equals 521 square meters, and that the latter measure is equal to 26 meters in turn, corresponds to 8,787.87 pletros. That is seconds long. And 87 is the second number, remember, of the 888. That is, it is the second number of the primordial God one. Therefore, it is as if they had designed a horizon. I would dare to say multidimensional almost, isn't it? Because it's kind of a strange thing, but the big surprise is going to come where that horizon looks, but we'll see that later on. Go ahead.
We're not with him with all that this horizon brings to us of division, but I ask, it has a mythological correlation, all of this with the ancient Egyptian narrative that is projected in some way. Let's see
Yes, if we're talking about Sirius, yes, but let's talk about it later, if anything, if you like. Let's see. What I also wanted to comment before is that if we were to write in Greek the number 888, we would write it first with the letter omega, which is 800, then with the letter pi, which is 80, and finally with the letter eta, which is 8. The 8, so we would write the word op, and the surprise was when I looked it up in the dictionary and found that it meant gaze. And we are talking about the all-seeing eye. We are talking about the gaze of God, in a way. And we are talking about the horizon defined by that gaze. So, of course, gaze is the essential attribute of the divine eye. On the other hand, what occurred to me was to gaze. Yes, to look logically, to see if there could be a correlation between the surface of the Earth and the area of vision of the horizon of Cheops, because it was becoming increasingly clear to me that that civilization knew the measurements of the Earth. And indeed, the surface area of the Earth equals 87,000 times the viewing area of the horizon of Cheops. And again, let's remember that 87 is the number of the primordial God one.
So let's say you say your mental process with regard to face from a geodesic point of view, we could call accurate comes by thinking. And this is a physical eye that the pyramid has, if I'm going to see how it behaves where it looks, of course. And then from there you get the thing and start looking for the numbers to see if they add up, and they add up.
Yes. No, but which ones are exact? I mean, think about something. I have worked with a level of accuracy above 99.9%. Anything that gave me less than 99.9 was eliminated. And I will tell you that the second decimal number was always more than 5. That is to say, 99.95% was the most common, and 99.99 also. That is to say, let's see, so as not to tire you, because there are many things. The second value of the word mirada turns out to be 47. Isn't it? Well, it turns out that 47 is the proportion. That is the word mirada. Remember that it is OP, which is the one that defines the number 888. Well, the number 47 is the ratio between the equatorial diameter of the Earth and the perimeter of the horizon of Cheops. That is to say, we have not only found the ratio between surfaces, which is 87,000, but also a linear relationship that is also associated with the word gaze. That is to say, it is as if they were working with a superposition of information, that each subsequent information confirms the previous one. To discard the temptation, we all have to say, no, this is a coincidence. Well, yes, hey, chance 1, sure, 2. But 1. Series of n coincidences tends naturally, the larger the number n, to be a causality. And we are precisely in the field of causalities. Because these coincidences, in quotation marks, are confirmed again and again and again with other measures, with other relations that are almost always mathematical. We already know that mathematics are objective references.
In other words, in order to make sure that it remains engraved in the mind of whoever is watching or listening to us, or always when there is a corroboration, when you make a calculation, when you look for the corroboration, that famous law of the...
Yes, but also the corroborations come through geometry. Look, for example, now I have the pyramid, right? I have the pyramid, and here I have the eye. Now I'm going to do the following. From this center, I'm going to make a circle that goes right down to the ground in height now, right? Well, that circle, when I draw it, it happens to be 920 meters in perimeter. That's telling you. And I've got the sphere, I've got the center of the eye. I repeat, I take the height from the center of the eye to the ground. I make other circle around that center of the eye, and the perimeter of that circle is 920 meters. Do you know what 920 means? Let's see if you can guess. Yes, I'll tell you in Greek. Let's see. Ophthalmos.
Translator. Sight, not glasses, not what? What's behind the glasses or salmon?
Ophthalmologist. How have you seen it? That's why. Ophthalmologist is the doctor who takes care of your eyesight. Well, it means ophthalmos, it means eye. That is to say...
perimeter of the circle is telling you, or the drawing, and also is that he draws like an eye really with it, and with the iris, and with... it's as if the sphere were the pupil of that eye. More clearly, I can tell you one thing. Mikel, to me, this is starting to overflow me a little, if not...
I've been overwhelmed for 20 years.
You've been 20 years. You've had practice. How do you do it so you don't get completely overwhelmed?
Well, I don't know. It's something... When I find something like this, I have to quit my job. Not this one at a higher level, but, well, transcendent associations. I have to leave my work, close the book, the computer, go for a walk for a while and breathe. Go for a walk for a while and breathe. And then I say, well, is it true what you have found, Miguel? Miguel, is it true what you have found?
And if it is, what is starting to happen to me is that there are already many calculations that prove themselves with the law. Then there are already too many, because at the beginning you can think, well, let's see, they are approximations. But when so many begin to appear, it is already that what we said in the previous chapter, my Cartesian mind is beginning to
collapse,
crack a little bit.
There is a moment when with so much information you collapse because you don't understand how they can cross it.
After today's program, I feel like I'm going 10 kilometers and 10 kilometers.
Walk for a while. Or whatever. Notice that if we move forward, let's see, as a synthesis of what we have been saying so far.
No.
Notice that the horizon of Cheops was established symbolically behind. It extended symbolically through the space of the number 443,200, which are meters and are seconds of the day. And it represents that they knew exactly the curvature of the Earth at Giza, because otherwise they don't know where the horizon is. That as a subject. Then, if we go to the dimensions of the Earth, because this refers us to the knowledge of the dimensions of the Earth, we are going to find again and again and again relationships of the Great Pyramid with the Earth. For example, the perimeter of the base of the Great Pyramid in contact with the ground was 926.1 meters, and it is half a minute of arc of the meridian of the Earth. That is to say, we take the meridian of the Earth, the circumference that passes, the ellipse that passes through the poles is almost a circumference. And it turns out that we're going to divide it into 360 parts. And each part, and each one of the degrees, which are those 360 parts, in 60 minutes. Well, half of that minute coincides with the perimeter of the base of the Great Pyramid. More. Therefore, from here, what happens? That the longitude of the terrestrial meridian can be calculated as 43,200 times, again, the same little number, the perimeter of contact of the plinth of the Great Pyramid with the Earth.
We need for ourselves.
Yes, the 43,200 is the other great element of information, isn't it? And it represents an invisible link between the ancient Hippo culture and ours. Through the sexagesimal system, it's clear. So, well, we can also come up with the length of the Earth's polar radius. That is, there are several lengths that the polar radius is. The polar radius is, let's see, the Earth is a squashed ball. A child picks up a ball, squashes it.
This, we know now that it's a geoid.
Yes, of course, but they knew that too. They knew perfectly well how to differentiate the polar radius from the square radius. That's why you said it doesn't fit. No, it doesn't fit. I mean, it doesn't fit with what we want to know. Look, at the end of book 2, I explain. At the end of book 2, I explain the meaning of the 892. And it turns out that what it allows is an association between radii of the Earth. So they knew perfectly well that the polar radius and the square radius were different. So let's see. I'm telling you this as an element of reflection. Isn't it? If we take the height of the Great Pyramid, recalculating, huh? Yes. And multiply it by 43,200, we have the polar radius. Again, the 43,200. So, of course, but there are still other things that I would say are even more moving. For example, more is that we are entering on the ground.
Thanks for coming. Beginning is that my head is cracking, Michael, because this is very strong. Yes.
See, the plinth of the Great Pyramid had a perimeter and plethora. Remember, plethora equals 1 second of arc, equal to 29.98. But 2998 is the latitude of the center of the Great Pyramid in degrees. A latitude that later we will see what it means, because that will really move us. That is, the latitude is the distance in degrees from the pyramid to the equator. 29.98. Well, that's very good. The perimeter in meters of the pyramid on the ground, of the base of the pyramid on the ground, the same measurement. And
I think that many of our listeners and spectators are thinking about how you think of making these associations and also with the changes. I have the little secret that I have seen how you work it. Of course, one day we will see this, one day we are going to see this one day. We are not going to see one either.
Make me take out my recipes here. No, we will not see them. Every cook has to have his secret recipes.
But we already talked about it in the past. It's a nice thing that people know how you associate things. It's something that comes from calculus and mathematics. It's a spreadsheet, a big mathematical spreadsheet.
A spreadsheet, a big mathematical and astronomical spreadsheet, and geodesic and...
But I mean, how do you come up with the associations, say, of the perimeter, for example, the last one,
and so on? Well, you enter the figures in the spreadsheet. It's scientific method. And from there, it starts to give you data. And the ones that don't come out that way, you take them out by intuition. Remember that for me, it matters.
Intuition is very important. Somehow you have to associate it. You don't have to see it. You don't have to visualize it.
You don't have to see it. You don't have to visualize it. And many times you intuit it. You just get the idea. You say, well, why don't I try this? And from there, it comes out.
I imagine that there will also be a lot of that. That having worked so much with the measurements of the Great Pyramid, at the end of the day, you are seeing in an almost natural way how everything is going to develop and how everything is going to unfold.
Let's see. With respect to this and to fix ideas, to help the listeners to fix ideas to the listeners, what I can say is that the longitude of the meridian of the polar radius and the mean perimeter of the Earth could be obtained proportionally from the measurements of the Great Pyramid. Oh, how? Or through the number 43,200, or through its multiples or divisors. That is, in one case, you have to use 5 times 43,200, and another time it is half. Half of 43,200 is 21,600, and the 216. Attention, for the ancients, that is, for the Orphics, was the number of reincarnation. And let's not forget that the pyramids were intellectually conceived as resurrection machines.
correct to say, it occurs to me, it's correct to say that the pyramid is like a kind also among many other things, but for what we are talking about now as a kind of projected scale model of the measurements of the Earth in different kinds of measurements. Something like that, no?
Yeah, that at the very least it contained measurements. Let's see, what most resembles the scale model is what we have discussed. If you take the Earth, the polar radius, which is from the equator to the pole, that height is proportional to the height of the Great Pyramid. From that point of view, yes, it could appear in somehow a model of the Earth. Well, nevertheless, the main issue of what we are raising now, and then we will see what merger it has, is Sirius. What about Sirius? I mean, Sirius is the star that represented with its birth after 70 days. Let's see, I'll explain it better. Sirius was blinded by the light of the sun. Blinded by the light of the sun for 70 days. It reappeared in the morning on the horizon before sunrise in what is called heliacal rising. 70 days later, and the date on which it appeared in the ancient empire coincided with the summer solstice. Therefore, we have here two very important elements that served for the Egyptians to place the first day of the year on the summer solstice, which coincided with the Hellenistic rising of Sirius. That is to say, Sirius was used to count the time together with the sun. There is a fusion of the two stars. The sun, because it is in the longest day, in the highest day, in the day when the light is more powerful and the heat is more powerful, Jan Sirius, because it happens to be rising on that very day. So there we have a very close interrelationship. But it happens. A very extraordinary thing happens. We are going to go to Saqqara. We are going to remember the medical architect and vizier of the king and astronomer Imhotep. The perimeter of Saqqara, of its enclosure, was 1,645 meters. But that was 3,141.6 real cubits. That is 1,000 times the number pi. And as it turns out, it just so happens that the distance Sirius is 1,000 times pi days, 3,141.6 light days. When I say the Sirius distance, I mean the time it takes for the light from Sirius to reach the Earth is 3,141.6 days. Therefore, the Sirius distance is 3,141.6 light days. That's 8.6.01 light years. So, of course, it's very striking that Imhotep, astronomer 2, the great wise polymath of ancient Egypt, designed his funerary enclosure of his great work with the same perimeter, which coincides, expressed in real cubits, with the light days of distant Sirius. The question is, did Imhotep know the distant Sirius? Well, the next step, what is it? The next step, what is it? Is that the Great Pyramid is 100 times, the surface of the Great Pyramid is 100 times this measurement, because it is 100,000 pi real square cubits its surface. Therefore, we return, that is, the two great works of antiquity, the first work in stone, which is the step pyramid of Saqqara, and on the other hand, the pyramid, the Great Pyramid of Cheops, are both associated with 1,000 pi to the number 1,000 pi, in one in linear real cubits and in the other in square real cubits, which must be multiplied by 100 because it is 100,000 times. And it so happens that the distance Sirius is 1,000 pi light days. Well, I leave this here because it was the first thing that caught my attention. And of course the question is, one is a coincidence, but two, and from there I continued studying, and look what happens. The time it takes for the light from Sirius to reach the Earth is 8 years and 220 days. And the Great Pyramid, remember, it had, the side of the pyramid was 440 cubits, but the half arches are 220. So as it turns out, it had the apothems tucked in, and that represented that it had a star-like shape, The Great Pyramid has 8 half arches of 220 real cubits, and the distance Sirius is 8 years and 220 days. Is it a coincidence?
I can't answer you. You can answer me.
Lee, I can continue giving you information so that you can deduce your own, you can draw your own deductions, which I think is the role, well, I think that's the role that any communicator has to be able to perform. In this case,
the elements that I have at my disposal, you're going to continue fracturing my head because they are generating a series of questions that I do not know. Honestly, I do not know where to take it. Well, it is complicated to...
How do we do it? Let's try to see if we are able to catch it. Well, it turns out that the Egyptians had a unit of measurement called the iteru. Iteru is 10,472 meters. Hey, if we measure the distance to the sun, if we measure the distance to the sun with kilometers, which is 1,000 meters, why the hell did you need a distance 10.5 times bigger, a unit of measurement 10.5 times bigger than the iteru, to measure what? Well, it so happens that 100 million Itherius are equivalent to 7 astronomical units, which is the average measure of the distance to the sun. The astronomical unit, which is 149, is a little more than 149 million.
If understood, that is to say they use the iteru as their own astronomical measure.
10 kilometers. No, the first question that says to me, hey, why do I want a unit of measurement of 10 kilometers? And the second one, well, maybe it's an astronomical measurement. I do not know. And then what do I find? That 100 million Iterus are 7 astronomical units, 7 times the distance to the sun. Man, what a coincidence, isn't it? It doesn't fit much. Well then, from there, as we were already over Sirius, I say to myself, let's see, what is the distance Sirius in Iterus? And I find, like the possibility that the Sirius distance is 8.6601 light years plus minus 0.00036 light years, there's a margin of variability because science can't refine any further. I calculate the Sirius distance and I find that it can be 13 number 7s in a row, right? A number defined by 13 sevens is in Itherius. I go to the word Sirius, 13 times 7 is 91, and lo and behold, the ordinal value of the word Sirius is 91. The ordinal value of the mother civilization of ancient Egypt, of the name of the mother civilization of ancient Egypt, which we'll see at the end of the series, is 91 as well. Is that by chance? Why? Then I do the next thing. I say, let's see if we find this string of 7 somewhere. I take the height of the Great Pyramid of 280. I take the height of the vertex, which is 277.777 periodical, the product, the distance Sirius in Iterus. And that is to say, sorry, I said it wrong. The distance Sirius in Iterus, you would have to multiply it by, let's see, by 10 times 8, that is by 100 million times this product. So, of course, all these things...
I go to mythology, because the same reflection of saying, let's see, so much insistence with Syriac has to have some intimate mythological relationship.
The Sirius was the star of Isis. I write the word Isis. It gives me 420 of direct value, of nominal value, and 54 of ordinal value. I look for the quotient between the two, the quotient value, because 7.7777777 periodical. A coincidence. Well, the truth is that we are there. There we are when I decide to go one step further and say, well, if this is so, and the height of the Great Pyramid was known to be proportional to the distance to the sun, will it be proportional to the distance to Sirius? Of course, when I ask myself the question, I don't believe it myself, don't I? But since we are there, let's go look. Very well. The distance to Sirius can be established as the height of the Great Pyramid multiplied 5 times by 888.92, a figure that contains both the 888 and the 800.
There is A double pointed out, that is to say there is 8888 and 8928888 being
It is
8888.92. Therefore, you can read the two numbers, the Neder UA and the name of the mother mission of the mother civilization.
That raised to the fifth power. When you take the height of the Great Pyramid, 280 real cubits, it gives you exactly the distances.
That reflection has come to me. I'm not going to say it out loud because...
There. It's okay.
I don't dare because I don't. I don't dare because 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 I don't dare. I don't dare to do it for the moment because, of course, you've made it so obvious. But wait, the distance has a relation with the name of the mother civilization mixed with
the name of God One. God One is its only one, indeed. But look. That's a proof. I'm not going to confirm myself with a proof. I'm going to the Pyramid of Chephren. The Pyramid of Chephren in this book, I explained that it is 275 royal cubits high. No. The later study, in the second book, I realized that it is 274, 1 cubit less, but it is the same. The relationship is the same. With 275 real cubits of height, the distance to Sirius, we would have to multiply it 5 times, that height, by 892.892. If it happened to be 275, we would only have to multiply it by 8925 times. But I'm pretty much convinced it was 272. And 2, what do I mean by that? That 2 pyramids, the 2 tallest pyramids in Egypt, the heights are proportioned with the distance to Sirius through the numbers, or the mother civilization, and the one God. Explain.
We know that they have I know how to say it. A very intimate relationship with Syrian, yes, because also their mythology comes out totally and permanently reflected permanently. And 2 of the main calculations of not only one pyramid but another pyramid, the stepped pyramid, have to do with the one with that star. So what are they telling us? Mikel, look there, okay? I have no answer. Well, if you don't have it either, I'll tell you.
Let's see. Sirius is a double star. It's a double star. There's a white dwarf. White dwarf, which used to be a normal yellow star, which was Sirius B, which it went into collapse from Falda Lilio. It contracted, sorry, I say it wrong, it expanded, transforming itself into a red giant. What a red giant does is destroy a possible planetary system. Then it contracts and becomes a hyperdense white dwarf. The ancients said that Sirius was red, but astronomers are telling us that this process happened millions of years ago. I have no answer. Nothing has been found. Nothing striking about Sirius. Yeah, but there are references everywhere, for example, and to finish, the crowning sphere of the Great Pyramid was designed at scale 1. That's at 1,760 million with respect to Sirius. Right? So the diameter of Sirius was 1,760,000,000, the diameter of that sphere. The diameter of that sphere. But what's the matter? That 1,760 is nothing more than the perimeter of the base of the Great Pyramid expressed in reals. Again, that is to say, references to Sirius are everywhere melted. So, that's all there is. May I say more?
See that we are going to close with that is what is their conclusion, is what is there, what is there, what is there, what is
Yes.
there, what is 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 there. It's there, the calculations are there. Well, we'll leave the conclusions to you. We have already gathered enough information for today to close the Chiringo, because it seems to me, Mikel, that it has been a powerful program. You have explained a series of things that I think that now we have internalized them a little bit.
No, the truth is that we do. Bo think that I am the first one overwhelmed by this series of discoveries. Well, you've been practicing for many years now, haven't you? Yes, that's true, but in any case, you know what happens. Curiosity always takes you further. And the question is that you think one thing, that curiosity is one of the axes of research, to say the great axis of research, and imagination is the other one. So curiosity takes you imagination, and imagination takes you intuition. curiosity, imagination, and intuition are the keys to research. And the big question, of course, with the scientific method, of course. But the big question is, do I go as far as I can? And from there, I have to ask for help. Help me, I have no answers, please.
So with this request from Mikel, we leave it here. I hope you enjoyed it, Mikel, as always. Pleasure, thank you very much. And above all, you do not forget to follow us. Subscribe to the channel, helps us greatly. Give us like the video if you liked. Follow us on social networks and stay connected, because there will be much more. See you in the next. Take care, much a hug.